How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Trailmakers Creations by ThatDomGuy. In this episode, we are going to be starting with a viewer request. He was asking me to build a car that could fly. So, I mean, that's been done a million times, but I decided, just a car that you could drive along, and he said he wanted to make it look cool, too. Okay. So, this was the first iteration. I just wanted a car that you could drive, and then you could just hit a button and then fly away. Transforming somewhat, obviously. So this was the first design that I came up with. Not the coolest looking, definitely not. But it was the first design that I had for as far as taking the car body and changing it into a plane, basically, plane shape. So spacebar just gives us our gas so that we don't have W or S. We can use those for flight controls. We hit number 1, folds out. And then we can use our tail guide to fly. The thrusters also engage automatically when you hit number 1. But as you can see, the problem with this one is that the landing isn't that graceful, shall we say. So you can drive, you hit number 1 and it takes off, opens up, the wings fold flat, the back of the body folds out. Oh, still got damage. But it's not very cool looking. It doesn't look like a car. It obviously looks like something that opens up. There's lots of wings. It obviously looks like it flies, right? So that was the first idea that I had for that style. Then I came up with another one. I was like, hey, what if I try it differently? What if I try it like this? So this is the Red Bull Flyer, and you'll see why it's called the Red Bull when it opens up. It's got nothing to do with the beverage, completely to do with the shape. So this is used as a slightly different method, a little bit more of a car design, a little harder to see exactly what does what. Those wings could be there for stability, but they're not. They're there so you can fly. So the tail section, as you can see, obviously kind of gives it away as well, that there's a bit of control there. But the Red Bull Flyer simply zips along like this, WASD controls, and then you hit number 1. All the wings fold out to the front, thrusters kick in, and you're flying. You can see why it's called the Red Bull. It's got them 2 points sticking out the front there. I was looking at it, kind of looks like a bull. And it's red. So I kind of went, what could I call it? It's a bull and it's a red. It's like a reddish bull, And this one as well, we can come down like this and hit number 1 and just drive away. Drive away. So that was a good idea for that one. I wanted to again have multiple sections of wings folding out. We can see that happening here, which is the servos under the front and then servos connected onto the back here that fold out the second section of wings. Everything folds out to the front, tucks into the back. So that definitely looks more like a car than the first iteration did. And again, the whole idea was to be able to drive like this and then just hit a button and crash into the water. Perfect. See? That's exactly what it's designed to do. Just like that, man. No, but seriously, folks. So the Red Bull Flyer does need a bit of a bump to get into the air. Or if you have a large straightaway, it'll actually take off that way. So then I had another idea. I'm like, well, what if, would it be possible to... instead of wheels on the ground, well, we could have wheels on the ground, but could we have those wheels fold up and out of the way? And because the sideways wheels have no friction, I was like, hey, we kind of maybe we could do something like that. So then I came up with this design. Now this is the Flying Squirrel. So again, this uses the spacebar as your thrust. And number 1 is folds your wheels up and turns you into basically a hovercraft. And all your mini thrusters engage, and you turn it into this. So the wheels fold up underneath. You can see all those mini thrusters engage when you hit number 1 as well. And the reason why it's called the Flying Squirrel is because when you open your wheels, you still have full control. You can glide yourself really, really well. So you can take off from any point like this, and it's amazing how much more speed you get. So you hit number 1, instantly, 250 kilometers an hour. And that's what it looks like when you crash. Flying Squirrel. Yeah, right. Like this. Just hit number 1. The wheels fold underneath, which gives you 0 friction, so you pick up a lot of speed right away. And then you can just fly like this. You can come up like this over top of the land, and you can, it doesn't matter how high you are, because you can just hit number 1, pull back with normal flight controls. You can just glide yourself in, and then you can just take off again. Ooh. Oh, water. What a drag. Get it? Drag, friction, drag it down. That is the flying squirrel. So that simply uses the old tuck the wheels underneath. Originally held out there with some pistons. And then we have all those mini thrusters underneath there that engage when you hit number 1. So that as soon as you fold up everything, you get that extra burst of thrust that'll get you into the air, keep you in the air so you can fly. And then while I was in the flying car mode, I thought, you know, I'm going to see, let's try and use something other than thrusters to fly. So I tried to squish as many helicopter propellers, those little ones, into one vehicle as possible. So inside the wheels here, there's wheels tucked into body parts, and then there's propellers tucked into the wheels. This is called the Squish Truck, because everything's squished inside. So let's take a quick look at build mode here, just so you can see everything that's actually being compressed into this shape here. Pistons on the body that bring in the wheels inside these body pieces here. So the wheel gets tucked inside, and then this piston contracts and brings in the top and bottom propeller halfway inside this wheel itself, which gets tucked inside this body piece, so that everything is tucked inside. I was trying to get everything tucked inside this wheel well, basically. Try and make it as compact as possible. As you can see there, everything tucks inside, but we can jump in. It is not very fast on the ground. It's like 50 kilometers an hour, and that's because our propellers actually are dragging on the ground because of the size of the wheels. But we can be driving along like this and then just hold down space. That engages some thrusters on the side and all of our helicopters' engines, our propellers, and then we're basically like a little flying truck. We got like a little helicopter truck. It's the squishy truck. So this was, again, the old just driving along, and you can just start flying. Oh, what did we break? We broke something. Yeah, so working that space bar, you can do your throttle hovering like this as well. You can stay above the ground. So that was the 4th iteration of a flying car. This one, again, it looks kind of obvious what it does because you can see the propellers. But again, really simple designs. I was just trying to see what I could squish inside that wheel well without causing all the funky physics to happen. Alright, let's take a look at our next build. So our next build here, as you can obviously tell, is a front end loader. This was a viewer request. Thank you for that comment. Thank you for the request. They said they built a big mining dump truck. I have no idea how big a big mining dump truck is, so I just tried to build a front end loader that would hopefully be able to load this giant dump truck that he has created. I guess I will find out sooner or later. Leave a comment if this is actually big enough to fill your dump truck. I will upload this to the shop. Front end loader. So this is pretty obviously basic. WASD controls. Space is for the magnets that we have in the bucket, because things like to bounce around in Trailmakers, the physics. So your barrels or anything like that that you're carrying, they're going to be bouncing around inside there, so you can turn your magnets on, and that'll hold that in place. We also have Q and E. Q is to pull back, that lifts our bucket. E pushes it forward. And then we have 1 and 3, which is for the bucket itself. So we can tip forward. We can dump. E will drop down like this as well, or we can tip it all the way back like this, and that will allow us to carry a load up this way or be able to lift and then dump into a truck. Hopefully that's high enough to get into the back of that dump truck. I have no idea how big the dump truck is. There's our magnets. Again, articulated body. Try and pick up a barrel here. We can pick up our barrels like that. You can see our magnets holding it in place there. And then we can take it and deliver it to wherever it is that you want. tip it, spacebar to release the magnet, release your load, and bang, into the dump truck. So we've got some loose hinges there, as well as some loose servos acting as our hinges, our pivot points, and a couple other junctions. There's, again, lots of ways to build things like this. This was just the first one that I've tried. This is one of the first pieces of heavy machinery like this that I've tried building, so experimentation. I do love it. I do love it. So front end loader, that'll be on the shop. Let's take a look at our next build. So watching Scrapman's videos in the last couple of weeks, he's been playing Sprocket. I know a few of you have mentioned it to me as well. Not really a tank guy. It seems kind of limited. That's all you can build is tanks. And I think you're pretty limited as far as tanks. I like creativity where I can build anything. I want to build a round tank if I want to, and I don't think that game's going to let me. Great concept though. Fun, very entertaining to watch others play it. But I don't think it's really a game for me. But being in tank mode, I decided to try and build a tank myself. This is at near maximum complexity, so I can't really add too much more to it. This is called the Tanky Tank. I know, original name, right? I know. Tough coming up with original names for these things. So as we can see, we got a major 5-cannon main cannon on the front, which is spacebar. We got Q and E for rotating, and 1 and 3 for lifting and dropping. WASD is our control for the tank itself. That's pretty loud. It does have tank steering when you're sitting still. As you can see, we can turn on the spot. It's pretty fast. It's quick. I wanted to try and make it nice and quick so you can evade other tanks, right? That's a big thing, is speed. And our main cannon, again, multiple non-stop, consistent firing. Q and E is what turns us left and right. That's the main cannon. Left shift gives us our machine guns, or anti-air cannons that pop out of the side. And again, we can control that, rotate that on the turret as well. Rapid fire machine guns. They go at the same angle as the turret. And they're pretty rapid fire. As you can see, there's 6 on either side. Left shift, and they just tuck right inside the body. Another great use of that piston glitch. The suspension in the wheels underneath. There's actually suspension on each wheel, and then in between those suspension pieces are free-floating trailer hinges. Or not trailer hinges, I should say, the steering hinges. Let's take a look underneath here. You can see that we got hinge, suspension, hinge, suspension. So the wheels can move independently, but they're still connected to each other forwards and backwards, so I don't get a lot of that flopping. Unfortunately, that is a great way to get your complexity limit up there really quick. And the back wheels are actually free floating. There's no suspension on them. So I actually do get independent wheel suspension on all of them, with the ability to flex individually. See, we'll go over this edge here, and we'll be able to see how those wheels act independently, but not too independently. So that seems to work pretty good. The Tanky Tank, it's nice and quick, lots of power. Definitely good for tank fights. Anti-aircraft goes up to about 30 degrees as well. So that's okay for trying to shoot planes out of the air. Choppers. Anybody that's bugging you up from above. Well, that's the Tanky Tank. That'll be uploaded as well. On to the next build. So this was a fun one too. This is the Snowflake Chopper. Super tiny, super lightweight, easy to fly, easy to land. So this was basically a chopper I was trying to build for if you actually had an aircraft carrier in Trailmakers and you wanted to actually be able to land something on it. You would need something as small as this, and you would need something with as much control as this has. 2 small propellers, and that is it. It's all seat steering, no moving parts, and it's nice and small and very light. So as you can see, you can come in and land no problem. Easy to control because you don't have tons of speed. You don't have any thrusters or anything like that. You're not going to do any damage when you try to land. So let's see if we can land up here on the half pipe. Just to show that it doesn't take a very large brain to land this thing. Okay, we'll go over to the other side then. We go from here, and we just go land over on this side. We just do tappity tappity tap, tappity tappity tap. Oh, come on now. See, so that's what you need as well if you're trying to land on a ship. Really? If you're trying to land on a ship and you have a very small landing pad, I mean, it's going to seem small from the air anyways, right? So it's going to be nice to be able to grab something small like this and then just land without any kind of weight or thrusters that's going to end up doing damage. You're going to fall apart, either breaking the aircraft carrier or breaking your helicopter. So this is a small one as well. I tried connecting it inside a box and then releasing it, but again, the funky behavior of the physics when you detach a creation from another creation, it's just inconsistent. So I figured, okay, well, I'll upload this Snowflake Chopper by itself, and if you want to download it and install it into an aircraft carrier being lifted up from a bottom deck or released off the back of a yacht or something like that, then you go right ahead. You go right ahead and do that. Or build one similar to yourself. Like this is just pipe pieces. It does almost float because the pipes are floatable. But it's the cab's too heavy and the propellers are too heavy and it just rolls upside down. So that's not a good thing for a helicopter upside down in the water. So that was the Snowflake Chopper. And it is a diving bell seat, so you can't sit underwater if you want. There's no way to get out of the water. Alright, let's take a look at our final build of the video. Something I've been working on for about a month now. Let's have a look-see. So this guy is the Bubble Boxer. I was trying to make a bipedal fighting creation. A boxing guy that could move and dodge and still throw punches while standing on his legs, be able to move forward, be able to move back, but be able to keep himself upright on his own and correct his own behavior when he's off balance. So the way this works is your dude doesn't actually punch anybody. You can see the sensors on his hands. Those sensors on each hand are connected to the small cannons on his head. So these two sensors over here will trigger the one cannon on this right side, and these left ones will trigger the ones on the left, the one gun on the left. So we don't have any explosions, so you don't actually need to hit your opponent, but you do need to come within 2.5 meters or blocks, whatever it is, however these sensors measure things. So when he punches, you get within a certain distance of your opponent, and then it'll fire one of those cannons, and you're trying to take apart your opponent before he takes you apart. That's not where I started with this. I wanted to basically make a guy that could stand up on his own like this. Right, the seat is back here behind his foot. You can see that he's kind of got like a sword fighting stance. So we can push forward. Right, so we can pull ourselves forward a bit by tap, tap, tap forward. Again, not a lot, but in a fight, right, if you're circling somebody else, you don't need to move a lot. We can move backwards by pushing ourselves back with our foot as well, and we can lean back. We can lean left and right. And you'll see he's kind of got some jerky behavior because he's correcting his own balance. So I can move left and right, I can lean backwards and left, backwards and right, and then I don't do nothing. He corrects himself. You're thinking, well, he's got pretty wide feet, it'd be pretty easy for him to stand on his own. So if I were to lean forward and then lean to the left, see how he doesn't, see now I'm not doing nothing? And he's going to correct himself, straighten himself out, and he's ready to fight. So as far as throwing a punch, A and D leans you left and right, but if you hold spacebar and push A or D, he throws a punch. So tapping A and spacebar, tapping B, D and spacebar, you'll throw a punch like this, left and right. You can lean forward, right, and throw him. Body blow, get in there. And again, as you do nothing, he auto-corrects himself and balances himself. So you can turn to the left a bit to the right. It's hard to actually turn his entire body without affecting how he throws his punches. So you can see from behind, he's throwing his punches, jab, 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 or you can go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Oh, come on, stand up, buddy. Stand up, buddy. he's doing that all on his own, and he corrects himself. So that was the gist of this build, was to try and make a guy that can move around and not fall down. And that's simply done by, well, simply done, yeah. So we have thrusters on him holding him up. We have speed sensors facing left and right. We also have some angle sensors back here connected to a helicopter engine, which keeps him upright when he's leaning too far left or right so he doesn't fall over. And the speed sensors on his back here are connected to some small thrusters and to the hinges that are on his arms, so that when he's falling over to one side, he'll actually lift his arm to get the right thrust and he'll balance himself. It's also connected to the servos on his hips to get his legs to actually move in the right direction to counter his fall. So if he leans this way, you'll see the back legs kind of jiggle a bit. He'll angle. That helicopter engine helps hold us up so we don't actually fall to the ground. And then he stabilizes himself so he's all nice and stable. So then we can continue fighting. So then the trick was to take this bubble boxer dude and see if we could get two of them face to face and set them up so you could have a boxing fight. And I did. So what I did here with these two bubble boxers, we got the orange guy and we got the blue guy, is they are actually connected to this frame on the ground, which is made out of glass. There's a couple of anchor pins here to hold them in place. And we have more ability to move forward and backwards with these extending pistons, and we have a little bit of rotation control as well. So I can jump into this seat here, and as you can see, as I push forward, I can move forward closer to my opponent, or I can pull backwards and get away from him. You can still punch left and right. The little hinges, the steering hinges on his body, on his feet here that he's connected to, are actually loose. There's no controls on them, so he still has to balance himself to keep himself upright. But this way you can actually get in closer and you can try and throw some punches. So, and we can actually move left and right a little easier with the controls of the pistons on there. So if we jump out of this guy and we come over here to the blue guy and we jump in here and then we extend ourselves out this way, we can see how the punching actually works. Come on, get a little closer, come on. So we might actually not be close enough. I just took his arm off. So you can see the head turns a little bit when you go to punch, but it kind of tries to stay straight to where your punch is going to be hitting. So, oh wow, okay. The frame's falling apart. It's a good thing he stands up on his own. Let's try this again. We'll get this guy all the way out. And then we'll come into the blue guy here. We'll get him forward. Okay. Come forward, toe to toe. Touch gloves. Oh, yeah. That's a cheating way of getting your sensors to go off. Hey, hey. You want some of this? You want some of this? Hey? Oh, he's already lost a hand. So as you can see, this could kind of be, it's kind of the old rock'em sock'em. Boom, 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 boom. But I'm setting off his guns too, and he keeps shooting me. Haha, I took off his other arm. It's nothing but a minor scratch. Oh, now this guy's just constantly shooting me because his sensor is being constantly triggered. I got no guns, man. I can't win. It's a draw. Stalemate. Took off my head. So you can see that is the gist of the bubble boxers. And they got bubblers on their hands, obviously, which is where the name comes from. Bubble makers. Wow, can't believe he took off his arms and he still won. And this guy's just spazzing out. Okay. Alright, guys. I think that's where we're going to leave this one. Armless guy and a headless guy. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. The algorithm loves it. And we will see you guys in the next one. Ciao.